Hi, and welcome back to Sacred Psychology. I'm Dr. Wichterman. Today, I want to talk to you about what trauma does to the brain and then how faith can help to heal it. Before I get into the content of this video, I want to ask you to like and subscribe. If you would please, it would mean a lot. So, trauma doesn't just live in the memory, it reshapes how the brain works. So, when a person experiences trauma, I'm not talking about a closed head injury here, I'm talking about chronic, overwhelming stress or trauma in childhood, like sexual, physical abuse, or being in a really bad car accident. Without treatment, the brain can shift into survival mode. And that makes the amygdala, which is your fear center, become overactive. It's in constant fight or flight. It's the kid who's got that look in their eyes when they're just not thinking clearly. So it's everyday situations can feel threatening. This is things like PTSD, for instance. It can shrink and function poorly. It just shrivels up. This affects memory, time awareness, and the ability to recognize that a threat is over. Trauma can feel like it's still happening now on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, if you know somebody who's highly traumatized and reactive, look at these symptoms that I've just listed off so far and see if you don't see them exhibit them on a regular basis. The prefrontal cortex, which is the last area that is affected here, it's the reasoning and self-control center. It goes completely offline. Logical thinking, emotional regulation, and decision making become harder, especially under stress. Now, there are obviously different levels of intensity, meaning some people have it in more mild ways, and other people it's like it's going on all the time, and they're just struggling and fighting to survive. As a result, people will experience things like anxiety, panic, hypervigilance. A lot of this overlaps with things like ADHD as well, emotional numbness or shutdown, difficulty trusting others. They'll feel shame, guilt, and distorted self-image. They'll have trouble concentrating or feeling present. Every traumatized kid I've ever met. It's a difficult place to be, and they're difficult people to be around in these times, and they need somebody to be calm and to be safe and to help their brain calm down. This is why things like neurofeedback and EMDR work so well with people with trauma, because it refocuses, it calms, it relaxes, it helps to rewire in some cases. But how faith helps to heal the brain, faith restores a sense of safety. So belief in a loving, protective God helps calm the nervous system. Practices like prayer, worship, or meditation activate the brain's parasympathetic, which is the rest and repair response, reducing fear and stress hormones. It rebuilds meaning. So trauma often shatters a person's sense of purpose. Faith offers a larger story, when suffering is not the end and where pain can be held without hope, redemption, and purpose. Faith strengthens emotional regulation. Spiritual practices like the spiritual disciplines encourage reflection, gratitude, confession, and surrender, skills that re-engage the prefrontal cortex and improve emotional balance. Faith strengthens emotional regulation. Spiritual practices, or spiritual disciplines as we call them, encourage reflection, gratitude, confession, and surrender. They re-engage the prefrontal cortex. When you're traumatized, you're always living back in what they might call like the animal brain. I know secular folks call it the evolutionary part, or the place that hasn't evolved as much in our brains as the front of it. I don't agree with that concept, but that's the way they talk about it. So it re-engages the thinking and reasoning area, and it helps us move out of the reactive survival area. Faith also promotes connection and belonging. Trauma isolates. We pull back into our corners. We don't want to be around people. We're scared of everything. We don't trust anybody. We react to things super hard that we know we shouldn't be reacting to that way. But faith communities provide safe relationships. They are essential for healing. Healthy attachment is relearned. It literally helps rewire the brain. Could you imagine if someone who is all alone and lonely gets loved on by a large group of people in a church, and they meet them in moments and they're safe? And when they react, they don't respond in negative ways, and they don't make them feel shame. The healing that they could find is immense. That could also happen in a counseling office in a one-on-one relationship with a really skilled therapist. Faith counters shame with identity. Many trauma survivors feel shame from what happened to them. They take responsibility for the things that they even experienced. Sexually abused, my fault. Physically abused, my responsibility. Faith counters shame with identity, meaning many trauma survivors carry a deep shame. And many times it's just because of what they experienced, not because of anything they've done. Even from the Christian faith, it doesn't matter what you've done, who you are, your skin color, your culture, your background, your choices, the things you've accomplished. None of that matters. Christ loves you through it. Faith reframes all of that. But what we need to understand is that healing is both spiritual and neurological. Trauma changes the brain, but the brain is plastic, it's malleable, meaning it can heal. Faith does not erase pain, but it calms fear responses, restores trust and hope, it supports emotional regulation, it encourages connection, it reinforces meaning and identity in really healthy ways, at least when it's applied in the way that Jesus taught. Faith, when combined with healthy relationships and professional care, can be a powerful partner in restoring both mind and soul. One of the things that I want to get across that was just mentioned, but I want to say it again, is that we need both of these things to find full healing here on earth. We need faith to find eternal healing, to find forgiveness, to find redemption, to find a better perspective of ourselves. But we also need clinical work that is counseling and psychology with its mounds of research and application and technique to find healing now and to help our brain release some things and to work through some bigger problems around our emotions, our values of ourselves, and to work at rewiring of the brain. And then you may also need a medical doctor, things like medication, which I don't always recommend, but they also can do things that a counselor and psychologist can't do. They can do brain scans. They can give you specific treatments for issues and areas in specific parts of your brain. The fact that each of these groups, the medical, the biblical counseling, and the counseling and psychology, tend to split off and not consider the perspectives of the other treatment modalities and apply them for holistic care, I think is really damaging to people. So if you're somebody watching this video or you're a therapist watching this video, I want you to think about yourself as a whole person, created by God, entirely loved, value from Him, and what that means for how you should go about healing and helping others to heal.